Okay, hopefully you can hear me. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get out our materials. So we're going to be using a Sharpie, some color pencils or some crayons, color pencils, and some markers. I'm using like these special like graphic markers, but Crayola markers will do just fine as well. Okay. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to set up our paper. So use your Sharpie. Make sure you put your name up here. And you're going to divide your paper into 4. All right. So I have 4 sections here. I'm going to label each one. This is going to be crayon. This is going to be marker. This is going to be colored pencil. And this one's going to be pen. And pause any time in the video that you want to catch up. Oh, and make sure you put your period, which period you're in, period 1. And don't forget your last name too. Okay? So the next part, you're going to split each box into another 4 boxes. Just make a big plus sign in each one. Just like that. Then you're going to label the first box in your crayon section, layering. This one is going to be layering. Take your crayons. You're going to pick 2 complementary colors. Complementary colors are colors that are opposite of each other on the color wheel. So I'm going to do red, and the complementary of red is green. Okay? I'm going to take the lighter color, which just happens to be green technically in this case, first. And I'm going to make a box. We're going to make our first box out of our lightest color. And make sure you color it in completely. And make sure you leave room for another box on the other side. You will take your next color, which is red in my case, and you'll draw another box that overlaps with your first one, just a little bit. Color it in completely. And you'll notice that in the middle where they overlap, you have a different color. It's kind of like a muddy color. Okay? That is layering. The next one that you will do, you'll label it, is called Squiggles. That's S-Q-U-I-G-G-L-E-S. Squiggles. You will take another 2 complementary colors, so I'm going to do orange and blue. You'll start again with your lightest color. Just start making kind of these scribbly shapes, and they'll be pretty far apart, kind of sparse at first. And then you'll start to make tighter circles, tighter squiggles on one side. This is where you'll be adding value. Value is how light or dark something is. So as you can see, this side is darker than the other side because I added more squiggles. Do the same thing with your second color. Pretty far apart at first. And then you can start making tighter squiggles, more of them on one side and less on the other. And you'll notice that this creates kind of like a muddy color too, because when you put two complementary colors together, they make brown. Again, feel free to pause anytime. You can rewind it, you can go back, go forward, whatever you need. All right, the next one we're going to do is called a impression or rubbing. Just call it in rubbing. So label it rubbing. And then you will take some sort of rough object. I used a little piece of cardboard. You can also do it on your wall. You can do it on like asphalt on the street. You can use any sort of kind of textured object. You will take your object or whatever surface. You can tear this out and put it against a wall. You're going to take it and put it underneath your paper, like this. And then just take whatever color you want. I'm going to use pink. Actually, I'm going to use a darker color so you can see it. I'm going to use this blue. Use the side of the crayon. Don't go like this, because then you can't see it. Use the side of it. And as you go, you press down pretty hard, and you'll start to see the impression of whatever you have underneath. Okay? All right. Next section, you're going to label it scratching. You're going to take two analogous colors. Analogous colors are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So I'm going to take blue and green because they're next to each other on the color wheel. I'm going to take my lighter color first, which is the green, and I'm going to make just a box. Color it in pretty well. Press down hard. Try to make it as neat as you can. Okay. Once you've got your first color, you can go in with your second color. Press down pretty hard. Some colors might show up better than others. That's okay. Press down pretty hard. All right. And then I'm just going to use my fingernail, but you can use, you might even be able to use like the end of the paintbrush. And you're just going to start scratching. Yeah, that's not working. I'm going to use my fingernail, and you can just start scratching away, making a little design, maybe a shape, whatever you want. All right, that's scratching. Put away your crayons. Put them back in the box. Oops. Put them back in the box. Close the box. Put it away. The next one that we're going to do is marker. So I'm going to get, oh yeah, here's my markers. Got a crayon. All right. So open up your markers, get your Sharpie, and you're going to label the first box. Going to label the first box in your marker section, layering. Okay? All right, again, you're going to take two complementary colors. I'm going to use purple or violet and yellow. I'm going to start with the lighter color first. And again, just make a box. And make sure you leave room on the other side for your second box. If you have markers like mine, use the thick end. All right, and you're going to overlap it again, make another box. And in the middle here, you'll see that it's like a darker, more muted color. So this is like a more brown purple, brownish purple. All right. Once you're done with that, the next box will be stippling. Again, you're going to use two complementary colors, so I'm going to use red and green. This one calls it chartreuse. And this time I'm going to use the small end. If you're just using Crayola, then that works too. It has built-in small end, technically. And again, I'm going to use the lighter color first. So this one's the lighter color. I'm going to start by creating a bunch of dots kind of far apart, but evenly spaced. Remember, evenly spaced is organized rhythm. Hopefully you can see that. I'm actually going to use a darker green so you can see that better. Okay, so this is actually my darkest color, but that's all right. So create some dots, evenly spaced, and then you can go in, start creating dots that are closer together, and make sure that you have one side that is darker and one side that is lighter. So I'm not even going to really add any more dots over here, but I'm going to continue adding dots to this end. The closer together, the darker the value. No need to make it like super dark because that'll take a million years. But just keep going with that color. Once you're done with your first color, you can go in with your second. and start adding dots that are evenly spaced apart, far apart. And then you can go in and start adding more that are closer together. Just like you did in the first color. Okay, so now you have a pretty visible gradient. A gradient is when you go from dark to light. You can also call it an ombre. All right, the next section, you're going to title it Squiggles, the same as we did with Crayon, so Squiggles, Squiggles. We're going to take two analogous colors, so I'm going to do red and orange. So analogous colors are colors next to each other on the color wheel, right? So I'm going to take my lighter color first, go in, just make something like that. Pretty abstract, pretty loose. Put a lot of space in between all the squiggles. And then you can start to go in again. Make the squiggles tighter. Remember, leave one side lighter than the other. Okay. Same deal. Go in with your second color. And do the same thing. Tighter on one side, more loose on the other. And you got your squiggles. Again, feel free to re-watch these, each section if you need to see it again. But the next section will be hatching. Hatching. You're going to take two complementary colors. So I'm going to do orange and blue. And try to make, if you're using, yellow and purple on, on one section, try to do different colors, different complementary colors on the next one. So with hatching, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make 4 lines going one way, and then 4 lines going another, and they're like attached to each other, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a type of hatching. There's a couple different types of hatching. This is just one. Right, so you've got your first color. Now you can go in with your second color, and you're going to go the opposite way. So if you've got these lines going this way, you're going to draw over them in the opposite way. This is called cross hatching. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now you have kind of like this eye-catching pattern. All right. Now you're gonna put away your markers. Put them back in their homes. Make sure you have your caps back on them or else they will dry out. And we do not want that. Put them back in their home and put them away. Now you will get out your color pencils. I have fancy ones. You might just have Crayola, but that is okay. Color pencils are colored pencils are color pencils. All right. The first box in your color pencils section right here, you're going to label it Zig Zag. Okay? Zigzag. You're going to take two complementary colors again. I'm going to sharpen this one just a bit. Oh, it broke. Okay. Two complementary colors. I'm doing yellow and purple. I'm going to do my lighter one first again. And just start by drawing some zigzags. Pretty far apart, evenly spaced. Okay? And then you can start doing more zigzags on top of that, but leave one side alone, like leave it lighter than the other. The closer you make the zigzags and like on top of each other, the more value you will have. Okay? It kind of looks like a flag to me. You will take your second color, your darker color, start by doing the same thing. Make your zigzags far apart. And then go in and start overlapping some zigzags on top of each other. Until you have one side that's darker and one side that's lighter. Okay. Now we will go to burnishing. Burnishing is spelled B-U-R-N-I-S-H-I-N-G. Now you will take two analogous colors. I'm going to do green and blue. I could find a good blue. Green and blue. I'm going to take my lighter color first, which is the green. And I'm going to create a value scale. So I'm going to start by going really dark, and then I make my way down and I get lighter as I go. Okay, so you have your darkest value on the left, you have your mid value right here, and your lightest value at the end. Press down pretty hard on the darkest value. You will go in with your second color and do the same thing. You just overlap it, do the darkest value first, and get lighter as you go. This is another way of mixing colors with color pencil. Okay. So you'll press down pretty hard on your darkest part, and you'll see that's almost like a black. right, that's burnishing. The next section is called shapes. You can just say shapes. All right, take two complementary colors. I'm gonna do, let's see. I'm gonna do red and green. Red and green. Got red and green. I'm gonna start again with my lighter color. Go in, and you can make whatever shape you want. I'm just gonna do stars. Stars are geometric shapes. And place them kind of evenly spaced apart. You can also do different sizes. You can make big ones, you can make small ones, but just make them evenly spaced. And then you can start making more, and they will overlap each other. Again, leave this side alone so that it's light, and just make this side darker. And you can do that by overlapping these shapes, making them pretty close together. It's gonna look pretty chaotic. That's okay. Okay. So as we see, one side is lighter than the other. This is the dark side, this is the light side. Gonna go in with your darker color, do the same thing, draw your shapes pretty far apart at first, different sizes. It's okay if you overlap with your first color. Actually, that's preferred. And then exactly the same as we did last time, start overlapping them. Make big ones, make small ones, but leave this side alone. Okay? Again, if I'm going too quickly or you need to see it again, you can always rewind it. Okay. And then the last one that we're going to do is just plain old layering. I'm going to do another different complementary color set, so orange and blue this time. Sharpen my pencil real quick. Alright, so I did yellow and purple, I did red and green, and now I'm going to do a different complementary color set, and that's going to be blue and orange. Start with the lighter color first, make a box, leave room for the other box, color it in completely. Don't just do that, color it in completely. Okay. Then you take your second color, your darker color of the two, and make another box that overlaps with your first box. And remember, don't just do that. That's not acceptable. We have to color it completely in. Okay? You don't have to press down too hard, just make it so that you color it completely. You might go in with your other color, make it however you want, but you'll see that in the middle, that makes like a brown kind of muted color. right? We're done with our color pencil section. So we will put away our colored pencils. Close them back up. Put them back where they belong. And we'll move on to the pen section. So I recommend that you use a ballpoint pen, but just so that you can see what I'm doing, I'm going to use a Sharpie. But yeah, go ahead and use a ballpoint pen like this one. Just any sort of black ballpoint pen. You can also use different colors of ballpoint pens. Like I have pink. You can use purple, blue, whatever. Any sort of ballpoint pen. All right, the first section is going to be gradient. So label it gradient. That's Gradient. You will then go in and just make some lines that are evenly spaced apart, just like that. Once you're done with that, you can start adding more lines. Make sure that you leave this kind of, this lighter, like don't add any more lines over here because that'll be our lightest side. On the left side, you'll just continue adding more and more lines. Vertical lines. No horizontal lines yet. Don't go that way, just go this way. Okay? Until you have a nice gradient. So it goes from dark to light. The next section we're going to do is called cross hatching. Cross hatching. I think you can see that. And we're going to start by making some vertical, so up and down lines. You can make some of them, shorter than others, some of them longer. Kind of adds more interest. So start with vertical and then you can make horizontal lines. They're evenly spaced apart. At first. Once you're done with that, you can start putting in lines that are closer together. Vertical and horizontal. And make sure that you have an area that's light and an area that's dark. Remember, the closer together the lines, the darker it is. Okay? And then you'll do stippling. Label your next box stippling. And again, just like you did with the marker, you will make some dots evenly spaced apart, pretty far apart at first. And then you will go in and make some closer together dots, only on one side though. So continue putting those dots in. Remember, the closer together, the more value you have. So on this side, I'm making them pretty close together. Until I'm happy with it. So as you can see, this side is darker than the other. Now, for scales, you're going to start by labeling it, label it scales, and then you will draw one line of just continuous U's basically, or like a wave pattern. The next line, you'll start in the middle of the bottom of this scale, so this is the U. You'll start at the bottom of it in the middle and connect it to the next and the next in the middle. You can add the little tails at the end. The next line, you'll start at the bottom of that tail and continue meeting in the middle of each scale until you get to the end. And just repeat that until you get to the bottom. Add the tails, start another line, and there you go. Okay, so this is the dry media paper. Go ahead and copy this if you didn't get any of it done. I also have a PowerPoint on Google Classroom that has all the steps if you want to read them over again. We'll be doing the wet media next. I will post this video to Google Classroom, and feel free to rewind it, watch it as many times as you want to understand this. So yeah, thanks for watching and hope you have a great day.